Welcome, wonderful listeners, to another exciting season of the Work Hard, Smile Large podcast. I'm Nicole Christofferson, your guide on this journey of inspiration and motivation. In our second season, we're diving even deeper into the stories of resilience, success, and the unwavering spirit that drives us to work hard and smile large. Each episode is a celebration of triumphs, big and small, as we explore the diverse paths that lead to a fulfilling life. Get ready for engaging conversations with extraordinary individuals who've turned challenges into stepping stones. Whether you're tuning in for motivation, insights, or just a good dose of positivity, Work Hard, Smile Large is here to uplift your spirits and ignite the fire within you. So buckle up for an incredible ride as we embark on this new season together. Get ready to be inspired, laugh, and maybe shed a tear or two. This is not just a podcast, it's a community of dreamers and doers. Let's make this second season one to remember. Without further ado, let's dive into another episode of Work Hard, Smile Large. This episode is being brought to you by Ortho 360, where Dr. Amber Burgess and Dr. Stanton Henry are thrilled to engage with you. Ortho 360's commitment extends beyond the realm of orthodontics, focusing on crafting an immersive experience tailored to the comfort and satisfaction of each patient. The team takes pride in spreading smiles among both adults and children through their expertise in orthodontics. With 6 convenient locations in Central Austin, Bastrop, Avery Ranch, Liberty Hill, Moulton, and Lakeway, Texas, Ortho 360 stands ready, seamlessly serving your needs and crafting unforgettable smiles. Explore a range of options, including traditional metal braces, clear braces, and Invisalign, all with easy, interest-free financing choices. Reach out today to schedule a complimentary consultation. Welcome to the Work Hard, Smile Large podcast. We are a community dedicated to hard work, empowered by positivity. And today I have 2 guests with me in the studio, which is super unique, but we're going to make it happen more often. I have Dr. Burgess and Dr. Henry with me. We are in the Austin studio. Both of them are very helpful in our community with all ages, and they are orthodontists. They have how many offices? 6 offices. They are independently owned and operated. The 2 of them have been growing and branding, and their branding is super modern. But I want them to tell you a little bit more about their journey and their story together as business partners and friends. So take it away, Dr. Henry.
Since I'm the OG, I'll go first.
Also a comedian. I forgot to say that.
Perhaps. I have a terrible memory, so I'm going to go with like my origin story, and then as I get up to the Amber and I joining forces, I'll let you take over. How's that sound? Okay.
Perfect.
So in 2001, I decided that I wanted to live and work in Austin just because it was a cool place. And growing up in Dallas, my brother and I coming down here for sports events always felt like Austin was a vacation. I just wanted to live here. At that time, and it's crazy to think that right now, I thought there was too many orthodontists in Austin.
Okay.
So I looked at areas around Austin. So in 2001, I hung my shingle in Bastrop, Texas. And that's...
Hence the office in Bastrop.
Hence the office in Bastrop. That's the original office. It's the one that I started in with 0 patients, 0 money. And just, and started the building process from there.
And watched Austin grow from Bastrop. You're like, wow, look at this. The roads, the development.
Developed. I always lived in Austin, but I would always commute out there, and people are like, why are you doing that? It's so far. It's the reverse commute. It's very easy. It's gotten a little worse, but it's no big deal. Fast forward a few years, I partnered with another gentleman. We started, I think the second office we started was on 360. So there's the origin story of that. It was just when we kind of rebranded from Bastrop Orthodontics to Ortho 360, it was just because we used to have an office on 360. Fast forward a few more years, my mentor, it's very convoluted, I'm sorry. My mentor gave us an office in Moulton, Texas. Have you ever heard of Moulton, Texas?
I've never heard of anybody giving people offices. Let's start there.
Okay, let's start there. This individual started his practice in Westlake. He's very famous. He's my mentor. And he, before he even graduated from orthodontic school, started a little tiny practice while he was in his residency in Moulton, Texas, because his father has some land there. Population 600. It's just north of Shiner. I'm sure you've heard of the beer. he just got too busy with his own practice. It was not too far from Bastrop. So I sort of absorbed that. So what are we at? I'm not necessarily going in chronological order.
Bastrop, Lakeway.
So now you're up to 3.
So now I'm up to 3, not necessarily in chronological order. Sometime after that, you came into the picture, correct?
I did.
Okay. Take it from there, Amber.
Well, you had Avery though.
Okay. Yeah, we had Avery. Then
at that point, right?
The 360 office then moved to Avery.
Yeah.
So as a comedian, orthodontist, pop star in Austin,
Right.
expanding businesses, you're commuting between all of your sets, correct?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're commuting, like juggling the days of the week that you're commuting to these different offices. And then you continue, you add Amber, you guys
Right.
partnered, Dr.
partnered.
Burgess.
Yep.
And you continued to add offices to your practice.
We did.
Yes. And then 38th Street kind of fell into our lap because it was like a turnkey office where it was another orthodontist that had retired. And she was basically like, hey, do you just want to take over this space? And so we were like, sure.
She had my dream job, by the way. Independently wealthy.
Yeah.
Just hung out and talked to people and just like, just didn't feel any urgency. Does that make sense? And I think at some point she just moved on and retired early.
Yeah. So she was like, so she wasn't as motivated to be like, oh, I want to sell this, but like, hey, does somebody want to take this over? And so we were like, sure, we'll take it over.
Nice.
And then
Why not? And then
I think this is next. I'm working on an adult patient, and he just randomly out of the blue goes, do you want an office in Liberty Hill? And I'm like, I don't know. Why do you ask? He goes, I have a bunch of land out there. I own rental spaces, and there's an empty orthodontic offices in one of my buildings. And I was just like, there's no way. Why are we doing this? And I think just a little bit of demographic research. It's a hugely growing area.
Hugely.
And it was
From
just
a real estate perspective, I can say hugely growing.
hugely. And we were just like,
all
we can't pass this up. And it was another kind of turnkey, not with patience. We still had to build it basically from the ground. But it was just sitting there and we're like, okay.
But let's talk about traditional orthodontists though. Like some have one practice, one office. Like that's the orthodontist I went to as a child. You don't really see them necessarily as business people, and you guys are very savvy and you know what I mean? And you're growing and adding offices, and that's a whole different dynamic to the business, right? Because you're spreading your practice. I mean, you practicing in multiple locations to being a great orthodontist as well. So
and
that's a big task to take on.
It keeps me busy. For whatever it's worth, I never saw myself doing this. Like I honestly, they do not teach you anything about business. I joke that sometimes I'm successful despite myself. I just simply, learn as I go, then I get better, and the next stage is bigger, and then I have to get better at that stage, and it just kind of kept rolling. I don't see us adding any more. We may need some help as far as doctors.
If you're in Liberty Hill and Georgetown is booming and it's just hop, skip, and a jump to get to Georgetown. I mean, let's talk about all the development,
it's
outside
good.
of Austin.
It's great. Yeah.
It is great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole Austin area is growing, and so there's there are more people. There's more of an orthodontic need. And then our last location in Lakeway was added because a friend of ours had, her father was having some health issues. And so she was like, hey, I want to move out to be closer to my family. Do you want to take over this office? And we were like, sure, we'll help. So that's where we're at.
That was Lakeway.
And that's where my family goes for their orthodontic care. And it's an awesome office, and your branding, their branding's super modern. So I commend you on that, not doing old school. Yeah, you walk in, there's they've got water bottles, all kinds of stuff for their patients, and spreading the cool Ortho 360 logo motto all over. So I want to back up a little bit because you said something that really struck my heartstring. I was a real estate agent at the time. And when I decided to get my broker's license and decided to start my own brokerage, I had never been a business owner. So being a real estate professional and practicing, advising my clients and guiding them through the home purchase and home sale process was totally different than running a real estate brokerage. And so there was a lot of extra time dedicated to that, and growing pains and learning processes. So what is that like? What was that like for you in the beginning? You get out of school, you're an orthodontist, and then you start your own practice and you continue adding practices. How much extra time outside of practicing was dedicated to that? How do you balance that?
I don't, and I'm kidding. It was difficult. I mean, when you first start,
I know you got to be honest because, and I'm sure you got to a point where you could hire people and,
right.
Duplicate the process. But like in the beginning, there's a learning curve.
When you first start, at least you're not as busy as you become with patients and actual like clinical care. So you have a little more time. You're not that crushed. Okay. I can't believe some of the mistakes that I made. I tell this story. My wife's an attorney and she just like dies when she hears it. But my first 2 employees, I had to fire. I mean, new kid, basically never had a business, just, so just stressed out. Like, how do I do this? I didn't, need consulting. I didn't know how you do it or how you document it. And so the best I could come up with is just me and the 2 employees. I said, y'all, it has come to my attention that it's not in the best interest of this company that we 3 work together anymore. I cannot leave, so therefore that is your last day. That's how that.
I'm staying, you're going.
That's all I had. And it's like, no like, documentation. I didn't know like what was going to happen. Luckily, nothing came of it.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, it's not you, it's me. And they left. I don't know, speaking of running a business, I think that's probably the most challenging thing of any business is finding the right people.
100%.
And I would say 20 years later, I'm over 20 years. I was 2001. So I think we have the best team we've ever had, but it's just literally taken that long to, do this and do that and tweak and
learn the screening process and the onboarding process and what to look for and stuff like that. I 100% agree.
Identifying the right people, right personality types, having personality types that work well together so that you have like synergy in your team versus people that are like vying for doing it their way.
Well, you love what you do. You chose your profession because you enjoy it and you studied a lot to get to where you are. And so having somebody that has that same excitement to support you with that is really important.
Yeah. I think having the right team is critical. It makes work more fun. I think it improves patient care. It's just better.
Testimonial, it does. It's really fun going into the office. And a lot of the times when I get to go into the office, I run into people I know in the community too, because you're both so involved. You're really involved in the community. I know personally, and I can't help but a pop star comedian. I mean, you definitely have to be involved in the community.
I try to be. Kids these days are taking up a lot of time, but yes, I try to help in any way I can.
Exactly. So Amber, Dr. Burgess and I met on the soccer field. Our daughters played soccer together. And luckily, while watching them learn how to play soccer, literally, it was so fun. Our husbands got to know each other too. So it's been really nice. And then once we decided to have our daughters seek advisory for their orthodontic work and stuff like that, Amber's been amazing. So I have not met Dr. Henry until just today, but I would love to have my daughters be in your care if Amber was ever not available.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I always tell people sometimes it's a patient will only have met Amber, let's say, and for some reason she can't see them, and they have to see me. People get they want to see just who they've seen and they're comfortable with. But I gotta say almost always we can win them over if we have to do, a little bit of change here and there. But yeah, I always tell people like, can I see Dr. Burgess? I've always seen, like she treats my kids, don't worry about it. So and usually that's fine.
And it's like night and day difference from my experience in childhood. Like my orthodontist, Dr. Graham. So if anybody's listening in California and Orange County, Dr. Graham was like the orthodontist everybody went to, but he had this like Brillo pad toupee thing that he wore. So imagine like your orthodontist is ancient. And you're talking 30 years ago. And then he's got this Brillo pad, like bouffant thing. And it's just, he was just so well known. And it's night and day difference from your personalities. And even your bedside manner, your chairside manner in the office. I mean, it's just total night and day difference. So my kids have no fear of going into the office. They love the front desk staff. They love getting all the customized stuff on the way out and trinkets. But more importantly, the girls are just so nice. All the assistants.
Yeah, well, I think we really strive to have like a good rapport and good interaction between us and staff and patients. And we want kids to, if a kid has a question or why are we doing this, like we want that to be a discussion.
Yeah, no, it's been a really good experience. But let's step it back. Like, did you just decide, you're in high school and you're like, hey, I really want to be an orthodontist? Like, how did you go from your secondary education into your wanting to be an orthodontist or studying?
Did you know right away?
Did you know?
I've got a decent origin story.
Okay, let's go.
I was probably middle school. I had my braces. And when I finished, my mom was my advocate. It just didn't look right. Okay. I had straight teeth, but they stuck out really far. Okay. And I won't go into any like details for your listeners about why that might be, or, how you can have straight teeth, but they're just still not right. And so she kind of brought me around to some other orthodontists, and I think they were having professional courtesy and saying, yeah, it looks fine. It's a Kennedy smile. He'll grow into it, things like that. And of course, nearing high school, the last thing I wanted to do was have braces again. This was before Invisalign. This was before anything. And I was dying. I was absolutely dying. And then she brought me to a guy. My dad was a surgeon, and she's like, we're not mad. We're not angry at anybody. We just want to know, what would you do differently? Here's our complaints about, this case. And so he took my case. He pulled some teeth, and that guy, for whatever reason, I just thought was a cool guy. Super nice, seemed like really like what he did. He rode motorcycles. He had, similar interests. I always kind of thought I was going to go into healthcare, so, since my entire family is. And when I came back one day and said, Dad, I think I want to pursue orthodontics, he said, go for it. And that was literally probably my junior year in high school. So I can honestly say that was a goal since then.
And so was that doctor a mentor of yours throughout your education and your
I almost
career?
went back and worked for him in Dallas, but nice. I decided to move to Austin. But in essence, I thought, my dad spent all night sometimes operating, and so stressful. I worry a lot. I don't know how you could deal with life and death situations. So I would say this specialty is a really neat combination of being able to profoundly affect people's lives, sometimes in more ways than they actually realize, they're still stressed, don't get me wrong, but there's not, oh my gosh, you need your whatever appendix out or you're going to die. It's nothing like that. So it was a cool, and it's a 9 to 5-ish job. And so there we are. And then I pursued that forever.
And you do change people's life in more of probably an emotional way too, because their mouth and their teeth are part of their persona and their image. And so I can imagine what your testimonials are from some patients.
Yeah, that's the part that I think is really interesting, where you can take somebody who, like, you've got, a kiddo that is nervous or won't smile, and then you get them a smile where they're feeling confident and they're smiling with their friends. And I think that's still been practicing for, I guess, probably like 15-ish years now. And that's still one of the most interesting and gratifying things to me, is that like where someone's like really smiling big and you can feel their excitement and you've really changed their confidence. Yeah. And I love that.
You know what studies show?
Tell.
Oh yes, there are lots of studies.
Do tell.
Well, I want to say that, what studies show, that's such a loaded thing. Is it a good study? Maybe Amber can fact check me on this. I tend to be the brawn, she's the brains, or sort of in this relationship. But I'm not about to say anything controversial, or it's not. Smiling is good, right? Can we agree with that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's no question that can be promoted. But studies show. I will be completely honest. I have not checked the statistics. I am not a statistician. I cannot tell you if a study is very good or not. I can tell you if the author is well respected. I can tell you if it was, seemingly well designed. But studies show some pretty amazing things, and there's enough of them that I can confidently say that if not all of this is true, a lot of it's true. Smiling has been shown to make you happy even if you are not happy. It can trick your brain into thinking it's happy, even though we think that it's in the reverse. Smiling can help you with your immunity. Smiling can help, in some studies, live longer. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Smiling can lower your blood pressure. Smiling can just do some pretty profound things if we just do it. And so when these kids come in, I don't think the kids sometimes appreciate their orthodontic care as much as adults do.
Yeah.
They just want their braces off, some of them. But to the extent that they don't know this, that we've given the confidence to do those things for a healthy life, even if it's just smiling confidently, that's pretty big.
Yeah, because they're going to use their smile for the rest of their life. Ortho 360 is delighted to present a special offer of $1,000 off using the exclusive promo code MADEYOUSMILE. This enticing discount is available exclusively for the Work Hard, Smile Large community and listeners. So act now and schedule your complimentary consultation.
Well, and even if you look at
The
people
relationships
with
and careers.
with straight teeth, more attractive teeth, they tend to make more money. They get better job offers. That was one that was in the AJODO. It's a big orthodontic journal that but so I think that, there's a lot of benefits to.
And I didn't even come in to, have you speak with you both today and think about the emotional impact that orthodontia has with people.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, we've had people over the years that are like so excited once we're done and they are seeing everything and everything's polished and beautiful and like they're crying and laughing, and it's just, I don't know. I think that's really interesting.
What did that dad say recently?
Which one?
There was a dad that wrote it was either a review or he just wrote us a nice letter he did it for his daughter. It was pretty touching.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember that? I don't remember the details. So you're the detail person.
It
It basically said he was embarrassed of his smile and he did it for his family. So it was like crazy, sad but happy. And that was pretty touching. And the now he can confidently smile and his daughter's not embarrassed about him. I mean, it's sad, but it's pretty cool.
That's touching.
Yeah, it's like feel good stuff.
Are my studies right, by the way?
I think so.
Are those good studies?
Yeah, there's a pretty significant wealth of information.
You can speak
from
personal account too, right? You see them come in all timid and shy, and then the end product is a totally different energy and personality, exactly. I'm sure.
There's a it's probably a meme that only circulates in our dorky dental community. But if you've seen it, I wanted to share it.
Well, we might have to share it with our viewers who are going to watch this. We'll find it and put it in the video.
Find it and put it in. It's usually, there's different variations of it, but it's usually a man. I don't know if I've seen a woman smiling, kind of holding, arm around friends, and he's missing a tooth. And you're like, you don't know what the deal is or what's going on. And then the caption reads, "I bet you didn't notice he's also missing an eyebrow." And you look back up and he has a whole eyebrow shaved off. And it's really freakish once you see that. But like the point is, people zone. That's the first thing you look at when someone smiles.
Where you see like a big gap in the front.
Have you seen that one?
I have not seen it.
Yeah, there's like several different variations in like the.
I can't believe I've actually shared a meme that someone hasn't seen. I always like send stuff off, and they're like, "Yeah, I've seen that. It's stupid." But,
no, I have not seen it, but we're gonna try to find it so we can share it with everybody.
It's interesting because you won't notice.
When did you know you were going to be an orthodontist?
I was a little bit later. I graduated from college and I knew that I liked science and I liked kind of organizing things. And so I was actually
She's super organized.
I am super organized.
I thought I was a crazy calendar person running my real estate teams and work hard, smile large, but we're like racing to get our calendar stuff to each other. Like everything's in the calendar.
Coded and in the calendar.
Yeah. She likes to do things yesterday.
Yes, I do like to get things done. I know, and then I feel like
do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
we meet in the middle.
Yeah, that's right, and then we do it today.
Perfect, yin and yang.
So I was in a PhD program in community health, and I was like looking at all these forms and organizing all these things, and I really missed human interaction. So I ended up looking at healthcare, and I looked at a bunch of different things in healthcare, and I shadowed a bunch of different places, and I felt like dentistry like really resonated with me, and orthodontics was like this idea that it was like art and science, and you were moving teeth and changing.
Like
yeah, like so that really appealed to me.
Like your excitement when I was in with Luelle on her last visit, and one of your staff had braces on the inside of her teeth.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, just in a week, look what they've done, and it was like
it's really cool.
Kid in a candy shop. I'm like, wow,
it's fun to it's neat to see the end result, but it's also fun to look at like all the new technology and different ways of moving teeth. And I feel like we've experimented with so many things over the years and.
On their staff, not on
real, not
on patients. The staff are real people.
Even doing like CE stuff where we'll be like, oh, that's an interesting appliance, and then learning about it and integrating it into our practice and getting great results, and you're like, that's awesome.
So knowing that your staff is amazing and that you guys enjoy your craft, right? Because you're artists in a way. And you're almost like a support therapist in a way because you're helping fix people's smiles, which in turn receive more smiles from that. I mean, it's a give-take thing there. What's like a motto or a mantra that you use in the practice or with your families that you'd like to share with our guests? Because I really feel like your energy and your passion, you're passionate about what you guys both do. You got to have some things, especially being a comedian.
I got some some stuff.
Yeah, I figured you had some good stuff.
I decided to call these micro mantras. Like, it's not some sort of overwhelming, fix your whole life stuff, but they've like really helped me personally and professionally. And the first one is called Sew the Pocket Shut.
Ooh.
I'm trying to build intrigue. Is it working?
Yes, it is. Keep going.
So, and just tell me if I'm going back too far in the backstory. But there's a very, very famous dentist in Seattle that has built a learning center, and people pay thousands of dollars to go see him talk. His name's John Coyce. He is the smartest guy in the room, but does not act like it. And I respect him so much for that. And he's just so infinitely successful. And so he's a great clinician. He is an insanely powerful businessman in his protocols, and he's just organized. And even though he's not necessarily in our specialty, I've learned more from him just on kind of life and how to live it and
Some
run
of
your
the most
business.
valuable CE that we've done.
So valuable. And he had this story where he said in the 80s, I don't know when it was.
CE is continuing education. In case anybody's listening, I just want to let you know, because we have CE in our industry as well. So continuing education.
Continuing education. So one of our visits to Seattle, he told a story about, maybe it was the 80s, there was no digital records and people were writing things down in charts, and he bought his whole staff a beautiful set of white lab jackets with their insignia and their branding, and a nice pocket that you could nerd out if you want with all the pens you needed to take your notes, to take notes and things like that. And what happened, the staff would get in a hurry and put in a pen, and it would leak onto the beautiful white starched, jacket. And he's like, he's very, most dentists are very particular. Most dentists are, that can't happen. Then it would require cleaning, and it would get him out of his rhythm or whatever. So he made a rule. He said, we are not going to put pens in our pockets anymore. Of course, what happens? It keeps happening. If it's an option, it's going to keep happening in a busy day. So instead of throwing everything away and ordering new ones, he simply had all the pockets sewed shut in all the lab jackets. So there would be no choice of the staff member making that honest mistake in the future, thus not having to deal with all the fallout of that. So here's an example of how we apply it in our practice, for instance. And I'll tell you, if we have time, how I do it in my life. So it's just anything that you cannot have choices. And just like in dentistry, a lot of people have latex allergies. Okay. So we used to put this flashing light on some kids, chart. No latex, no latex, no latex. And in a busy day, invariably, completely innocently, someone's going to grab the latex gloves because you're just not paying attention. And so we sewed the pockets shut, and we eliminated latex gloves from our practice. If you can think of any way you can do that, it simplifies your life and your business so well. And that was one of the as I was pondering what I could possibly, I don't feel that important. I do not have a big ego. I am not the smartest guy in the room. What can I help your listeners with? Sew the pocket shut, as I was riding my exercise bike, came to me this morning. Can I tell you how I apply it in life with my kids?
I would love to hear that. And I think our listeners would too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I have teenage boys, and I joke that there is no way I can think of all the scenarios of things to tell them not to do. Okay? It's impossible. I mean, they'll find some loophole. And I've softened debate it. I've softened a little bit because they haven't lived a whole life, and things that I think they should know, they may not know. But to sew the pocket shut, here's an example. My 14-year-old had some friends camping. It was raining. I said, you guys aren't going to be able to start a fire. And all of a sudden they had a fire started, and I was looking around, and there's I think it was empty, but there was a can of gasoline next to the open fire. And I'm like, dude, don't let your grandfather see that. It was on his grandfather's land. Let's move that away, and we'll talk about it later. Because I had no idea how they started the fire. And it turns out, I talked to him later. I was like, hey man, I didn't tell you not to get the gas out of the barn, but what did you do? He goes, well, Dad, we were actually safe. We filled plastic bottles with the gas and threw them on the fire from far away as Molotov cocktails. Because I'm smart enough to know you're not supposed to pour it on the thing. But we use Molotov cocktails, so it's all good. I'm like, Cooper, that's still not very safe. So my next time taking them camping, it was simply so the rule shouldn't be don't make Molotov cocktails because they'll think of something else, right? The rule is do not take anything from the barn or anywhere else on the property that's not yours, Okay. And so you try to rule out everything. Whenever they have slumber parties, they always get into my stuff in my exercise room. They don't really hurt anything usually, but sometimes they break stuff. So instead of saying, don't touch my bike collection, I like bicycles.
My husband was a cyclist.
Was he?
Yes.
We could probably have some conversations. So I love bikes and I have a few. I just say, don't go into the room. Just don't go into anywhere downstairs. And so there's my lifetime sewing the pocket shut.
Sewing the pocket shut on my room because my kids started coming in after we moved and thinking everything, and our house was theirs and stuff. And now I have a digital lock on my door and everything. So I'm crazy. I'm like, no, it's my room.
Yeah.
Like I just eliminate them being able to go in there. Like every day I leave, I close the door. I can lock it from my device if I forgot to punch the code in and lock it.
That's very smart.
And it just protects my stuff. I know they're not using my mascara. They're not stealing my whatever they want to steal out of my makeup drawer, because that's the biggest thing right now is cosmetics for kids. They just love skincare and stuff. But
that's even better because my rules, maybe they'll go with it, maybe not. They could still break them.
And now they're asking for digital locks on their doors because they won't stay out of each other's rooms. And so I saw this really cool, and it's like a handle, and the handle has the digital lock in it, so you don't have to do the deadbolt in the doors. That makes sense. Because a lot of them, there's a deadbolt, right. So you kind of have to reconfigure the door, your wood door. But this one's on the handle.
Oh, wow.
So you can just switch out the handle hardware.
Cool.
Interesting.
So, yeah, we got a lot of kleptos in my house. Everybody likes to steal clothes and makeup and shoes. Not me. I just protect mine, but...
Yeah, that's actually such a good idea. My girls do the same thing. They're constantly in my stuff. And now that they're both kind of getting to the same size as me, Ellery is my.
I'm
she
telling
wears
you, that's
my
what
shoe
happens
size.
because Llewellyn. That's what they're doing now. It's Liv wants Llewellyn's clothes, and it's just a big battle every morning. And then somebody doesn't want to listen to somebody else. They just give it to them, and then I don't. They're not allowed to use my stuff. I was just it's just I'll share it with you when it's time.
Yeah, I love that.
No big deal.
I might borrow that.
I know. I'm telling everybody that's my life hack right now.
Yeah, that's smart.
Privacy, protection of a few things.
Yeah.
What is your mantra or motto that you use in life? Or
I would say make it happen. Work hard, figure it out. I feel sometimes I notice my kids and they're kind of passively waiting for something to happen
kids are mellow.
For them.
My kids are the opposite. But both your kids are just super mellow.
But I want them to work hard, and if they want to achieve something, put in the effort, figure out the path forward.
Can I share an experience with you?
Yeah.
Because my oldest, who is very an old soul, very artsy, kind of just goes to the flow, has a voice in the house and stuff. But I never thought she was watching me. And I work 7 days a week, and my husband always chills out on the weekends because his job is pretty much Monday through Friday. And he's growing his business, I'm growing mine, but I was always just God, she's not like me. She's not in the kitchen, she's not moving around as much. It clicked. And I didn't know she was watching me all that time. And there's so much of what I was modeling that's in her now with her work ethic with school and her drive. And I would have never known that she was watching or that it was absorbing, because she's just so flighty. She's going to spill everything on the floor. She's just very... I don't know, just who she is. And it's beautiful. And she does it with a smile and cleans it up. And, just who she is. But she has this drive in her now for grades and for different things. And it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So,
I love that, though. I do think that kids notice, they notice how the choices that you're making.
Yeah. So you're leading by example, right?
Hopefully.
You are. They watch you. I mean,
hopefully they keep working hard.
You lead by example. So by me not telling her she had to pick up the pace and go faster and do stuff, she naturally is doing it for herself now.
Yeah, I've noticed Ellery doing that too in middle
Maybe it's
school.
the shift in middle school
where
a little
it's
bit.
You're a little that kind of bump up in maturity where I'm look she's actually doing well in school and organizing herself.
Yep.
I'm hoping to get her on a color-coded calendar, but we're working on it.
Oh,
it's coming though.
I knew it was going to come out. Dr. Burgess is going to throw the color coding in. So I have a question as you were talking about your workout room when you were explaining kind of it's off limits for the kids. I have a hard time balancing my exercise right now. So for the last, I'd say a couple months, and everybody knows that listens to the podcast, I have a crazy morning routine. I'm very consistent on eating alone time in the morning, waking up before everybody, getting my exercise in before I start my day. And sometimes that has to ebb and flow or give a little bit. And I know you're out of the house really early. You have an exercise room at home. They both have exercise rooms at home now that we've talked. So like, what is your morning routine and like, how do you stay consistent? Because you're commuting to different locations and you both look very healthy. So do tell. Give us a little like
you go first.
Hint, tips and tricks for our listeners, because I think work-life balance is something that's really important that everybody is always training on. We're all in training at all times on that.
So your husband will understand this. I still love cycling, but I used to be like, if I can't go 2 hours, it's not worth doing anything. Like I have to, and then that would sort of feed on itself and I wouldn't do anything because I didn't have 2 hours. This is silly. And I don't know if this is what switched the thing in my mind. My silly Apple Watch with the little rings, basically my new deal that I do as 30 minutes or even less is better than nothing.
That's my motto too right now.
And just something is better than nothing. And I try my very, very best to do it before work, because when I get home, I've been sitting all day kind of doing fine motor skills. It doesn't sound hard, but it gets hard, and you feel completely depleted. So I try to do it every day during my morning time if possible.
Yep. Sometimes
maybe I can go longer on weekends if I want to go on a longer ride. And then I have a new secret too.
Ooh.
Kettlebells.
Oh.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I may be weird, but like, it just seems like you can do everything with them. And where I used to be completely about just going
cycling
as far as I can and killing myself and just being about cardiovascular or whatever, the combining the strength and it's just a neat way to combine strength. You only need a few. You don't need a big space.
And the Apple Watch, the little health parameters have been your inspiration.
Something
with
about just getting that 30-minute little deal done makes me think, well, at least I did that.
Well, because your clarity is like mental. So for me, I'm like, now I feel a little bit more tired. I'm still hitting on everything, still eating healthy, but it's like your energy level changes and my mental strength changes. I'm more tired earlier in the day than I would normally be. And so that's where I notice the impact when I don't at least mine's like a 20-minute minimum. If I can get on the Peloton for 20 minutes and do intervals, like I'm good. Like that helps curve it, but that's not like enough sustainable to do all the time. So
yeah, but I think sometimes with exercise, you just kind of have to fit it in where you can. And I've done the same thing where it's like time-wise, you'll look at your day and you're like, where am I gonna? But I think you just try to have to make the time, whether it's in the morning or
you'll do it at night too.
I usually can't do anything at night because I get up so early. But like even like if I have like a lunch at work and I don't have a lunch scheduled with a dentist, like I'll run during lunch or I'll try to do like some push-ups or do something.
No matter what location of the office you're at.
Anywhere.
Do you travel with a workout bag with you in your car?
Yes.
Like you always have a workout bag with you. Okay.
So like, and I have like my little running routes mapped out for each office. So I know like depending on how much time I have, I can do this little loop over here.
That's a good tip for our listeners, because yesterday I wanted to go to a yoga class at HCI and I'm like, I had to get home, get changed. I'm going to be sidetracked by the dog. You know what I mean? And so I had that excuse, but I need to put my workout bag in the car because then I'll divert to the gym, and I don't go to the gym very often. I work out at home.
Yeah.
But then I'll divert to the classes and
I
force
would love
myself
to do that. I'm too sweaty. I sweat for like 3 hours after I work out, so I have to get really early.
It's like a badge of it. You're like, I worked
clean
out.
myself up the best I can.
Yeah, when you're with patients, that's hard.
It's just hard with patients.
But it's true though. It's because if I go home, I won't do like you come home, you're a parent, like you're either dealing with people needing something.
I'm so focused on eating healthy and preparing food for the kids right now because it's the season, people are getting sick, and I'm very like keen on them eating at a certain time because then I can hit the homework and they can be in bed at a certain time.
Yeah.
So that's really important to me, and that's our love language. Like they help, they learn, we talk during that, or they're doing their homework and I'm cooking, and so that's like a good family thing for us because we get a lot of communication in at that time. And we always sit at the table and
I think we had spoken, we do kind of the same sort of thing about, like I'm a big believer in going to bed early enough so that you get enough sleep. So then it's like that time from when I get home from work and they're home from school, that's really critical where it's dinner and lunches and homework.
And if I'm in the room, they can kind of like pour out what they need to say about their day without me like interrogating them, so it's just part of our routine.
That's been
at their age
huge.
It's really important.
To like have to to I try to with my girls have it be almost like an open-ended sort of discussion where they can tell me what's happening in their day and not that I'm but I want them to feel like they can share things. And so we'll kind of talk it out.
They sit and talk amongst themselves and I can overhear it too. That's always good.
Yeah. I like that. That's it. But yeah, I don't know how people go to the gym after work.
I have an after work recommendation.
Okay.
I read some article that resonated with me that just a little bit of activity, like a short walk after dinner, completely like stabilizes your blood sugar. And I don't,
does walking the puppy around the driveway count as that?
Yes. Like anything. Like if you, it's
I'm
just,
outside all the time now walking with the puppy.
So it's my grandpa postprandial walk. I don't do it every night, but if it's nice outside, one of my other mini mantras,
get your walking slippers on and go out and just cruise.
Walk around the block, walk a mile, whatever.
And we're in and out a lot. Like, I mean, I'm in real estate, so I go in and out of a lot of buildings and move around a lot and stuff, but I am on my computer. Like, I live in a digital, like my business is pretty much digital or on a phone a lot of the time. So when you're out of the office, taking that time to go out and get fresh air is so key. And I mean, we're so lucky to live in Austin and have the beautiful sunsets and skies that we get that you're not going to be disappointed even if it's freezing like it is right now.
Yeah. This weekend notwithstanding, it's amazing sometimes in the winter how nice it can be.
Yep. Well, I appreciate getting to know both of you a little bit more and for sharing about your journey. Moving to Austin and kind of starting a practice and you two partnering up and continuing to grow Ortho 360. It's been an honor for my kids to be there. We're still under your care and their smiles are gorgeous. And so thank you for everything you're doing for my family. And thanks for sharing your story with our listeners today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was super fun.
I was nervous.
And I was a little nervous
but
too,
not
actually.
Because you want to know why I was nervous? It wasn't, I'm okay. Like I'm pretty okay with public speaking. I'm just
going to let our listeners hear this. So do tell.
It wasn't, I'm okay. Like I'm not just like a great public speaker, but it doesn't make me nervous. So the podcast itself, but I didn't I'm half jokingly saying this, but I was honored you asked us, but I didn't want to mess it up.
There's no messing it up.
I didn't want to be like that. And then I'll tell you this. If you don't feel you can air it, you won't hurt my feelings.
Oh gosh,
okay?
please.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
please stop.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Everybody that's listening who's either had a positive or a negative experience with their orthodontic work or anything like that is going to have insight into, what it is to start a practice and grow a practice and work together as a team. And I think that's really important for our listeners to hear.
Cool.
Because, like we said, it all is the culture of the company and the team, and you guys get along so well. And that was something new that I learned today because I haven't had you both in the same room. We just met today. Yay. So thank you both so much for joining me. It's an inspiration on teamwork as well. So
thank you so far.
Appreciate what you're doing for our communities. And as always on the Work Hard, Smile Large podcast, we sign out with work hard,
smile large.
Smile large.
All right. Thank you so much. And that wraps up another incredible episode of the Work Hard, Smile Large podcast. I hope you enjoyed our journey today as much as I did. A big thank you to our amazing guests for sharing their stories and insights. If you found inspiration in today's episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with friends, family, or anyone who could use a boost. Remember, your journey is unique and every step counts. Keep working hard and never forget to smile large. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We have a lot more incredible stories and conversations lined up for this season. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep dreaming big, and as always, work hard, smile large.